Om purnamadah purnamidam purnat purnamaduchyate purnasya purnamataya purnameva vasishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti. So, you're still not going to get Kriya in the morning. But as I assured you, before you go, you will certainly have the Kriya. So be patient with me, okay? Because we need to go at it carefully, slowly. No need to hurry. I can give you in 15 minutes Kriya Pranayam Central, you'll sit and do. Nothing will happen. We'll have to work this out, okay? So, yesterday as we discussed, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, we discussed the sadhana part, second, which is the second adhyaya, second chapter, sadhana pada. But the first chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is not sadhana. It's called Samadhi pada. So why didn't Patanjali directly go to the practice instead of first talking about Samadhi? Because practice is okay, but we should know where we are going. We should have a map of where we are going. Simply if you practice, you don't know your direction, you don't know where you're going. You may feel nice for some time, and then when you're not feeling nice, you'll give up. The aim, what you are looking for, is not clear. So therefore, first chapter was Samadhi pada, according to Patanjali. So I also think, this is what was taught to me, that first you should know what we want, where are we going, before we find ways and means to reach there, right? Today you have Google Maps, you know where you're going, if it works properly. Without that, without knowing where you're going, even without a Google map, I just get into my car and drive. Where am I going? I know how to drive. Everything I know. Also, I know if there is no fuel, how to fill, all that I know. Where am I going? Madanapalli, Kadapa, Veeler. So, it is important to know why we are doing Kriya and what do we expect to move forward and do in Kriya and where we go. Therefore, it is important. Now, while we can do the Samadhi pada, I want to go back to the earliest original texts that describe where we are going. And they happen to be, apart from the Yoga Upanishads, which are 20 in number, which also have practices. Like there is a Hamsa Upanishad, which talks to you about how to do Hamsa. Then there is the Mandala Brahmana Upanishad, and so on and so forth. Apart from that, much earlier to that, you will find are the principal Upanishads, which are 11 in number. The 11 principal Upanishads are the oldest material that we have on this, oldest. And they are also principal Upanishads because they have been commented upon by all the important acharyas. Actually, if you take the Vajra Suchika Upanishad away, 10 principal Upanishad. Nobody will like the Vajra Suchika Upanishad. It is very small, but people generally avoid because it gives a definition of who is a Brahmana. Who is qualified to be called a Brahmana? Vajra Suchika Upanishad. So let's keep that aside. Let's not discuss into that. the 10 principal Upanishads. They have been commented upon by all the acharyas, especially elaborately by Shankara, Adi Shankara. Now, these Upanishads give us an understanding of the direction which we need to take when we do any sadhana. Where are we going? Could be bhakti sadhana, karma yoga, kriya yoga, any sadhana. Where are we going? Okay. Now I opened today's satsang with the mantra purnamadah, purnamidam, purnat, purnamaduchyate. It's very common. Unfortunately, people chant without knowing what they're saying. That is the only unfortunate thing. So, purnamadah, that is complete, or that is full. That meaning what? That which is the origin of everything, that which is the origin of this universe, that which is the beginning, which existed before anything was manifested, in its own unmanifest. Good idea. This is that. That is, the Upanishads declare, is purna, complete, full. So we have no argument about that because we don't know, right? Maybe it's full. What has that got to do with me? Maybe that Brahman, the Supreme, that unmanifested from which this manifested world came, may be, as the Upanishads declare, purna, complete, full. But the next statement is open to discussion. Purnamidam, this is also purna. But that is not what we see every day. Do we? Is everything complete? If everything is complete, what are we doing? Psychologically, physically, materially, in this world we find that nothing is complete. Nothing is purna. Everything is apurna. Not complete, not fulfilled, not full. The whole of evolution, human beings go around is to fill that. What they feel is not full. Right? I have less knowledge. I work hard. Why? Because I want more knowledge. And still it is not complete. I go on and on and on. Swami Vivekananda once said that he studied Sanskrit grammar, including Panini, for 25 years and thought he has not finished it. There are people who study for 4 years and think they know the entire grammar. It's not purna, not completed. Anything. I'm alone. And then I find, now I'm nice and happy. Then I think, if I have a partner also, it will be nice. I will become complete. And then I split into two and become incomplete. Seriously. So, this process is going on all the time. I have one house, I need 3. I have one car, I need 3. I have one wife. No, that we won't go into that subject. It goes on. From incompleteness to completeness. This is the whole process in everything. I'm not saying it is wrong. No, it's natural. But I'm saying that it is because we are not purna that we are trying to fulfill this purna. All our life is like that. Entire life. So purnamidam doesn't sound so good to us. Doesn't sound accurate to us. Purnamadah, okay, maybe, we don't know. But the Upanishad insists that we are also purna, provided we realize that no matter what circus we do, that purna that we seek, there is a built-in somewhere in the mind or brain which wants to fulfill. It's natural, you cannot stop it. The Upanishad says when you figure out that what you're trying to fulfill is not dependent on any external circumstances, is not dependent on anything from the outside world, including inputs. When we understand that fullness cannot come in any way, whatever we try, not that we should not try, it's a natural evolution. You will try even if you don't want to. But the realization that it is not working makes one seek this purna in a different direction. And that different direction is, instead of seeking it here, can we seek it here? This is what the Upanishad is talking about. To turn the direction of the search from out to in. There's no harm. It's not normal that you seek for fulfillment. Believe me, no human being, no material, no nothing will give you fulfillment. You can try and I'm not saying you shouldn't try. You keep trying, no problem. You'll have to work in this world. Everybody is competitive, fine. But sometimes reflect, am I going from confinement to confinement, or am I really being free? Am I getting the peace or the fulfillment that I seek? Or I'm thinking this will give me, and then when that comes, I find not over. It's over. I need more. So, this turning around, the introversion, which is called the nivritti marga, as against the pravritti marga. Of course, the laws of nature are such that you cannot keep without pravritti. It will happen anyway. But to realize the angle of how you look at it and say, this is not giving, but there must be something else that is fulfilling, truly complete and full, which I will not look for anything on earth, human or divine. This is the sense. Therefore, if you understand this, then you understand the meaning of the sentence purnamidam. Then here itself that completeness is seen. Purnat purnamaduchyate, from that purna has come this purna. Purnameva avashishyate, and purna alone remains. Even though this has come from that, nothing is lost. The only nearest physical law you can compare with this is that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Can only change from one form to another. In the same way, that purnata from which this purnata has come, even though this is so vast and with so many dimensions, not only physical, other dimensions, still that purna remains purna always. The good news is that purna is you. You don't have to search for it anywhere, it's you. When your mind is free of all distractions, when your mind is free of all dependence on anything external for your complete satisfaction, when you find that within yourself in quietness and solitude, even in the midst of the marketplace, then you have found that purna. The inexhaustible purna, which will never become a purna, even though this world is part of it, when you realize it, this is also purna. This is the mantra. Now, as I discussed, I am going to go into one or two Upanishads so that we have an understanding that we are going to Tirupati. What is there in Tirupati? So before that, how do you go there? You may go on the wrong road. So, in fact, the Supreme Brahman, which the Upanishad talks about, can also be expressed with the word Tirupati, the great Lord, also another way of expressing it. Ramanuja said, let's call the Brahman Narayana. It's okay, doesn't matter. Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Though I call it by different names, but the truth is only one, Ekam Sat Rigveda. So, let us look at one or two Upanishads. As much as we can. One or two or one. Now, there is one Upanishad which has only 12 verses. It is the shortest principle Upanishad. Okay, can we, before doing that, look at the word Upanishad? Before going to one particular Upanishad. What is an Upanishad? The Gita also calls itself an Upanishad. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam. So Upanishad is that which teaches Brahma Vidya, which means the knowledge of the Supreme, the knowledge of the Purna, the knowledge of the fullness. So what does the word mean, Upanishad? Now here you have 3 syllables. One is Upa, the last one is Shad, and the middle one is Ni. Upa. You must have heard people, I am doing Upavasa. Which means I am traveling closer to the divine. Upa means close. Not C-L-O-S-E, lid, but close. Upa. And Upa-nayana. What is that? What is nayana? Eyes. And Upa, to look close, to acquire the understanding of looking into the essence. Not just a cross belt, that the sub-inspector also has. Made of leather, but it is not. The 3 strands of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are intertwined. And the Ida and the Pingala and the Shushumna are then brought together. So one goes closer. So, Upa means to go close. Now the reason why the word is used, a couple of reasons. One is, you're going as close to the truth as possible. When you go very close to the truth, you don't remain then. Only the truth remains. It's like trying to go too close to the sun. You're too close, you're burnt. There is only the sun. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say how the salt doll went to measure the depth of the ocean. Salt doll went inside. There was no salt doll. There was only the ocean. So all we can do is go as close as possible. Once you're there, then there is no you. There is no, it's over. This is Upa, to move closer. Also because in those days, this wisdom was taught in the forest hermitages. And the teaching was considered a secret rahasya. What happens if somebody discovers the secret that you are the center of all nuclear energy without having some discipline and compassion and understanding? What happens? So it was kept a secret. So when it was kept a secret, and when it was taught in the Forest Academy, there were no microphone systems, there were no loudspeakers. So the rishi and the disciples sat close to each other, and it was taught in low tones. Today we are broadcasting. In some way dangerous thing to do. But I think now humanity has come to a stage when the brain has developed enough to understand this matter. It was, then it dipped. Now I think we are going back. So which is why this job has been given to me. Teach the Upanishads, don't worry. So Upa. I think you got meaning, Upa. I will leave the central syllable away and talk about Shad. Shad literally means sit down. Sit. Shad. Which is, okay, I am sitting, you are sitting, so Shad is satisfied. No. Shad need not mean only physically sitting down, but that your mind also has sat down. You might have sat down here physically, but the mind will be wandering here and there. To get the mind also seated, Shad. Don't go here, there. Be careful. Sit down. Nobody will steal your car. Nothing will happen. At least PGS, I don't think anything will happen. I don't know. Relax, sit down. Shad. Now, Adi Shankara, in his commentaries on the Upanishad, has said that Shad also means shaking up, manthan, churning. Literal meaning would be to shake up somebody from the sleep of ignorance, according to Shankara's commentary. It also means to turn your logic upside down, to shake up your ordinary logic. My ordinary logic is always linear. What is that? I am sitting here and you are sitting there. This is my logic, right? When I shake that up and say, maybe there are other ways of looking at it. Maybe I think you are sitting there and I am sitting there. Now, especially when it is applied to the all-pervading supreme reality, which the Upanishad is exploring, and which we are also trying to touch through Kriya or whatever sadhana. That supreme reality, according to the Upanishad itself, according to the Shruti, is Ishavashyamidam sarvam kincha jagatyam jagat. That supreme reality pervades everything here. Here. So if it pervades everything here, normal logic, without shaking up, ordinary logic would mean that the truth is there, even as an idea, and I am going towards it in a linear fashion. But what if the truth I seek is here, there and everywhere? How will I go towards it? Why would I go towards it? The moment all going, all reaching stops, mind, mentally, all dependence, all reaching out, all groping, everything stops, the mind settles down, then it is here. This is the meaning also, according to Shankara, of shaking up your ordinary linear logic. Plus, now I won't go into that subject. Even if you think that the world that you see is exactly what you think it is, you may be totally wrong. Today, of course, physics also is proving gradually. What we think we see may not be what you think it is. Something is, but it may not be as you think it is. It is. Isness is there, but it may not be exactly what you think it is. Because your judgment of what is based on your sensory inputs. And your sensory inputs, mine also, sense organs are quite limited and sometimes even misleading. So we cannot say that this is this. You can say, I think it is this. You cannot universally make it is this. Because somebody may say, okay, simple example. Here I see one little round thing here called the mic. Now if you go into details, more than Vedanta, there is a text called Sankhya Pravanchana Sutra of Kapila. I have no idea when I studied this, but now in this kind of discussion is on. Suppose this is a round little button-like thing that I see. Forget this for the time being. This button-like thing, I have been told, is a microphone. And it has been proved, because when I speak, you can hear me. Right. Now I'm talking about the shape of this thing. It is like a cone, round here. So I think that's the shape, right? And I have been told that this shaped thing with a little red light underneath is a microphone. Can you imagine? Now why do all of you see the same microphone in the same shape? Not only me, you're also seeing it. Unless one of you has a lens in your eye which is different from mine. We are all born with the same kind of convex lens, right? Imagine we are all born with concave lenses. We have convex lens of a certain strength, generally. Little bit here and there. When you grow old, you might have to add 1.5 to see clearly, close quarter. But generally, it's a convex lens, so therefore you see this form. I don't know if you know this. This common housefly which comes into our house, it has compound eyes. How will this microphone look to the fly which has compound eyes? Will it look like a cluster of grapes? We don't know. We have to get into the housefly's brain to see. Definitely it must be seen different because it has a different set of apparatus, sensory organs, indriya. Its chakshu is built in a different way. So it doesn't see this like this. It may see it like little dots. But if it is taught that this is a microphone, it will agree. But when it says microphone, it's talking about something other than what I thought I'm talking. I hope I'm clear. I'm trying my best. So which is the real shape of this microphone? Of course it exists, no problem, yes. It depends upon your instrument of perception. Which it changes, this will also change. You get what I'm trying to convey? So the ancients thought about it pretty deep. And they said, therefore, all that you see in this world is dependent on your sense organs. If there are beings who have a different set of sense organs, you will see it differently. So which is the real? Something is, of course, isness is real, but what it is very relative. Now, why did I come to this subject? Anybody? Shad. So this is one shaking up which I did just now. Now you're not sure if this mic is round or not. The more you shake, the more you learn. And in the profession, or rather the job of teaching such things, especially spiritual, it's often necessary to shake up. Otherwise one gets stuck in a groove. Personal likes and dislikes and things get all muddled up in our journey. And so, it also, Shankara said, is like awakening you from the sleep of ignorance. We will come to that when we look at the Upanishad. So, the Upanishad. We left one syllable, ni. The ni is the root word for anything that is low. The Hindi word niche. comes from ni. Now, ni indicates the attitude of the student to the teacher. Physically, you're all right now. You're down and I'm up. Not that. The beginning of learning, according to Upanishad, Upanishad makes a very cryptic statement. It says, he who knows, knows not, and he who knows not, knows. This is not a brain teaser, please. What it means, I wish everybody read and studied. It is our heritage, most ancient. What it means is that the one who receives like this, right? You don't receive like this. You receive like this. And the vessel that receives has to be empty. If it is full, what can one receive? So therefore, when you sit for an Upanishad dialogue or an Upanishad teaching, first you have to put away all the things that you think you know. You can take it back afterwards. You say, I'm listening to this for the first time. You know what happens otherwise? People are hearing but not listening. Because half the time they are comparing. What did so-and-so say and what is this guy saying, what is that? What happens? Your attention is divided. So if your attention is divided, when the Shruti is said, it doesn't immediately fall like a seed and grow. It's necessary. You can easily say, I am Atma Brahma. It means nothing. My Atman is Brahman. What if the mind is ready for it? If it is free and empty to receive, it's not crowded with all the things that we have added and studied, and then the moment that Shruti is uttered, it immediately sprouts. Otherwise it just lies there, fallow. You cannot even penetrate inside because it is full of muck. So therefore, ni. Also, any vessel you see, if you need to pour anything, even physically, you have to keep it down. You can't pour anything like this. So the mind attitude is important. It's not physical. Physically, I'm happy even if you sit here. It's the mind. When that happens, when you are free of all these prejudices, or at least realize that we need to keep them away, at least, then begins the study of the Upanishad. So, Upa, Ni, and Shad. Okay. So, after having said that, I will go to the Mandukya. Of course, the Mandukya is the shortest Upanishad. It has only 12 verses. And my good friend, Swami Sarvapriyananda, in one of his talks, he said, if you know the Mandukya Upanishad, you don't need to know anything else. I don't completely say yes to this. There are other Upanishads also. But of course, in a way, he's right, because it is so small. When you grasp it properly, you've got it. The Mandukya Upanishad talks about Om, pranava. We chanted Om today. Chanting is different from talking about it, okay? Sound effect is one thing, and the philosophical discussion is another thing. But we need to know the essence. Normally, Om, or the pranava, normally, in many texts, it has been described as the beginning, the middle, and the end of everything. Divided into 3 syllables, A, U, and Ma. Ma, when you say Om, is Yes? It's a very common, we use that word, that sound, but we don't realize how common it is. You say, everything okay? Mm. In the United States, it becomes mm-hmm. One more is added. So, is part of our natural yes. So, normally, according to the texts, many texts, means the beginning of everything. Why? Because is the basic sound, a. In Sanskrit, the alphabet is called akshara, indestructible, which means any sound can vanish, but a. Even a small child can say a dumb person can say a. It is also one of our normal expressions in life, a. When there is pain, what do you do? Ah. When you're surprised or happy or seeing something delighted, you say, ah. It's also the beginning. The first sound that anyone can utter is ah. Then it gets modified. Throughout the world, all alphabets start with the sound ah, although the name may be different of the alphabet. Ah. So it's the beginning of creation, of everything, including thought. Not just the physical world, thought also. Ah is the first sound that creates a symbol of the first sound. And of course, according to the Sankhya and Vaisheshika and so on, there is no creation, there is only manifestation. It's not like God is sitting in a workshop. Give me that screw, give me. This is a totally non-Indian concept. Then after having done all that, then God has to make that person alive. So He breathes the breath of life into him. There, yes, I understand. Breath is important. Anyway, so here in our darshanas, the so-called creation is a manifestation. The undifferentiated manifests itself in different differentiated forms. The world is there before us. And then in the end, during Mahapralaya, it reabsorbs and all gone back to one source. This is a cycle that goes on always. As the cycle in a small way goes on in our lives. We are born, we continue to live, we are gone. Only thing is, we say we are gone, but Upanishadic understanding is that we have gone back to the source to re-manifest. Not gone anywhere. So this is the sound, the beginning of everything, ah. Now, u. U is the continuation, which means a vowel is added. U. U is the continuation of that which has been manifested. It is manifested every second, but then it continues for some time. When the time element comes into the picture, it is U identified with Mahavishnu. Please note that in the Hindu pantheon, when a name is given, it has some meaning. Like Brahma is supposed to be the creator. Now, that means the manifesting force from the beginning, represented by A, is Brahma. And please note that the last word, last sound of Brahma is A. Before that, Brah, the Supreme Brahman. Only in manifestation it becomes Brahma. Then the U sound, Vishnu. What is the last syllable of Vishnu? Is U, Vishnu. Continuation of what has been manifested. And the last Ma is the end. There you will see that the deity associated with ending everything, Rudra, is Maheshwara. There, Ma is first letter. Why? Because it is not an ending, but a recoming. Regeneration. Nothing is lost. Everything is regenerated. And comes back again in some form or the other, or some mode or the other. So this is the Om, as we know it, generally from most texts. But the Mandukya Upanishad looks at it in a different way. The Mandukya Upanishad also divides Om into three, A, U and Ma, but says that the sound A represents the waking state of consciousness. It discusses the common states of consciousness which are common to all human beings, even animals, but let's say human beings, cutting across all barriers, human being. We all are awake at some point. It's a conscious state that is available to all of us. Shankara says we are asleep most of the time, but it's too much, carrying it too far. We are all awake, right? Most of the time we are awake. Now we are awake. I hope so. If it gets too boring then. So, but here in this class you don't have to worry. If you snore, the guy sitting in front of you might think you are doing pranayam. Not to worry. So, A is the waking state. There is not much to be discussed about the waking state. We all know what it is. Although we really are not fully awake, but let's forget about that. Let's say we are awake. Even what we discussed about the microphone is a state of waking consciousness. And yet we don't know for sure what it is. Anyway, but roughly we know what is waking. We don't have to go. That means I'm conscious. And I can see and feel through my five senses and work it out in the brain and react accordingly. I'm awake. Okay. Now the Upanishad says the next letter, U, Mandukya Upanishad. Now why is it called Mandukya? Because Manduk is a frog. So is it a frog Upanishad? Was there a Maharshi called Mandukya Maharshi who wrote it? Nobody knows. Except that in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is one chapter where all the frogs gathered together on a rainy night and chant the Upanishads. Chant the pranava. Apart from that, there is no reference. So I also asked many people, I went to all the mathas, and finally one day I asked Maheshwarnath Babaji, when he was in a good mood. You know what? Otherwise he can always say, hey, chupro, shut up. So I asked him, we were sitting near the river beautifully. I said, Babaji, one question. He said, तुम्हारा तो इतने प्रश्न होते हैं, एक ही है क्या इस बार? I said, no, one. Okay, what is it? I said, why is it called Mandukya? Why like a frog? So I'm telling you what he told me. I don't know. Now I'm behaving like the Rishi in the Upanishad who says, Iti Shushuruma Purvesham, so said the ancients. So said Maheshwarnath Babaji. So he said, there are two things in this. One is the wisdom. If it is wisdom, it doesn't matter where it comes from, even if it's from a frog, which is considered to be a lowly creature. So don't look at the teacher, whether he looks like a frog or something else. What he says is, he or she says is more important than the figure from where it comes. One reason. I sometimes wonder if I look like a frog, how many people will come for the satsang? Okay. The next reason he gave was the frog is one creature which has a very visible metamorphosis. We all know. First it's a tadpole swimming in the water with a little tail. And then it transforms itself into a frog. The tail is dropped. Tail falls off. And then it jumps into the land. Now it can live in land and water at the same time. It's become an amphibian. Indicates that a great rishi who has understood the truth, while he is swimming in the spirit of war, the waters of the spirit, can also live on land for purposes that are required. Iti Shushrama Purvesham. Yunastatvaja Chakshiri, I don't know, that's what they said. So, anyway, doesn't matter. So, U, what is U? I is waking, so naturally what will U be? Dream state. Now the dream state is also common to all human beings. Why? Even the dogs sleep. All human beings. We all go to sleep and we all wake up. And in this sleep, we have dreams. Now this state needs little more examination, careful examination. Why? Because it's a very peculiar state. Upanishad calls it swapnavastha, it also calls it tejasa. Why is it called tejasa? Because even our eyes are closed and it is dark, we see the dream as if it is in full daylight. So self-effulgent, tejasa. Now it is interesting what happens in the dream. When you wake up, it's a dream, right? Not when you are dreaming. In the dream, there's a tiger chasing me. In the dream. And I'm running for my life. Then somebody wakes me up because I'm probably screaming, "Ayo," and running. And then somebody says, "Hey, hey," and then there is no tiger. There is no chasing. And yet it was so real that I still look to say, I'm 100% sure there is no tiger. Plus, even now I am perspiring. My pulse is fast, my heartbeat is fast. All the symptoms required when you actually see a tiger are there. Yet, now I say it is not there. It's a dream. When I was dreaming, it was not a dream. It was real. From this comes the understanding. What the Vedantin asks is, if that is so, when you dream, if somebody told you it's a dream, you say, "No, no, shut up. You please keep quiet. I'm enjoying with the Apsara, please." It's not a dream. As in, when you wake up, you know that it is a dream, but that time you can't say it's a dream. In the same way, Shankara said, I'm only quoting Shankara because he's relevant to this subject. Many acharyas are relevant to many things. Shankara said, so therefore in the same way, now you say you're awake. Now if somebody tells you, no, you're actually sleeping, you will not agree. Just as in a dream, you will not agree it's a dream. So what if there is something by which you wake up from this waking state? And you say, my God, that was a long dream. But you won't believe it now. Just as you won't believe a dream is a dream until you wake up. In the same way, probably there is a waking up from this dream. And then you say, my God, this is a dream. The great sage Janaka dreamt that he was a pauper, a beggar. He was going around begging, no food to eat, clothes torn. Then he woke up. And he found he was in his luxurious palace, in a bed, on his bed. It was a rude shock. He said, what if this dream had continued beyond my control? I would have been a beggar. But no, I am now a king. So what is the reality? Am I a beggar or a dream or a king? So when the great sage Yajnavalkya, who was his guru, came, he asked him, sir, please explain this to me. Which is the real? What if it continued? So Yajnavalkya teaches him, saying, look here, my dear king Janaka, the witness is the only reality, not the states. Even when you were a beggar, there was a witness. When you are a king also, there is a witness. That witness is real. The content is not real. I mean, it is real, but it is relatively real, and therefore you cannot call it absolute reality. There is one major difference between waking and dream state. And that difference is that in waking state there is continuity. So we take it more seriously because there is continuity. Like if M goes to sleep and dreams that he is Maheshwarnath Babaji. Thrilled. Not only more thrilled because he gets one student like Madhu and he keeps scolding him, so more happy. And then I wake up. M wakes up. He's not Maheshwarnath Babaji, he's still M. Right? Tomorrow M goes to sleep. He dreams that he is Hiranyakashipu. He wants to finish Prahlad off. When he wakes up, he's still the same. Whatever this, which we define. So that is the main difference between dream and deep and waking state, between swapna and jagrata. In waking state, there is a continuity. Of course, the continuity ends with death. Till then. And the continuity is also different because each part of our life, we are a different person actually, from childhood to old age, in some way. But still there is a cut. Beyond that, there is no difference between dream and waking state. So if both are relative to each other, then what is absolute? The seer is absolute, the witness. Witness, which is not involved in either of these states, when it realizes that it is not affected by these states, then that witness alone is real. And the Upanishads declare that it is blissful, without seeking for happiness. Blissful by its own nature. Okay. Now there is the ma sound, right? Om. The ma sound, according to the Mandukya Upanishad, represents deep sleep. No dreams. Totally no dreams. Sushupti. Jagrata, swapna, sushupti. Sushupti is deep sleep. In deep sleep, you are not aware of, you don't recognize anything internally because there is no dream, let's say. You don't recognize anything outside. Everything, all perception has come to a standstill. And yet, one is still alive, one is not dead. It's in deep sleep. And this deep sleep again is common to all human beings. And in this deep sleep, all are equal. You and I go to sleep, we are equal in sleep. When you wake up, maybe we are different, but no. And in deep sleep, since you are not even aware of who your personality is, of your ego, therefore you take rest. The ego is the problem. The moment I know my ego, who I am, as understood by the world, there is no peace, there is no rejuvenation, there is no rest, there is nothing. In deep sleep, all that is gone. I don't know my identity. Therefore, I get rested. In this mad world, if we didn't have sleep, it would have been terrible. Already it's mad. Why? Because in that short period we get rejuvenated, rested. Why? Because our ego is not, it's existing, but it's in non-active state. This is why we rest. However, we are blissfully in deep sleep. We don't know it at that point. When we wake up and stretch our hands, say, that was a blissful sleep. We remember the bliss. How many times we have switched off our alarms and gone back to sleep? Why? I don't want to give up this bliss. Why would I enter this world? Where everybody is keenly watching, see what So, when I wake up, I say, that was a blissful sleep. So there is somebody remembering it there. Although at that point is not remembered. Right? Now, we have discussed 3 sounds. Om. Now, Om doesn't end with, we don't say Om. Om is a ringing sound, like the ringing of a bell, it goes on. That half sound after the Ma, the Ardhamatra, the half sound, the Upanishad calls Turiya. It's not a sound that comes through striking something, but unstuck, anahat. And that, the only way you can imagine it, you can only imagine it for the moment, is that in that blissful Sushupti, suddenly you become aware of it. Unfortunately, there is no way to reach Turiya through deep sleep. That would have been great. Easy. Already the maximum drugs sold in medical shops are to sleep. 2. One is to sleep, one is to grow younger. Suppose I would then be able to go to Turiya, which is being aware when I am in that. Everything else, all other parameters are like Sushupti. But I am aware of that blissfulness, unaffected by anything. This is called Turiya. So since you cannot reach it through deep sleep, the deep sleep is good, your body rests, mind rests, everything, but you don't touch Turiya. Therefore, the only way that Turiya can be understood is to understand this theoretically, what we discussed, to know that there is such a state and experience it in waking state. If it is experienced in waking state, then it's experienced in dream and deep sleep in all modes of existence, including waking. So, all these illustrations are given in the Mandukya only to show you, to illustrate that there is a witness which is blissful, and it is similar to waking up in deep sleep. It doesn't happen generally. But it does happen. If a person is free of all the vrittis of his chitta, vrittis means distractions, disappointments, thrills, all the opposites, tension, conflict. If the mind is free of all this, a yogi's mind, when that yogi goes to sleep, then Sushupti is exactly like Turiya, not otherwise. In fact, once Turiya is understood, I'm deliberately not using the word experience, because when you say experience, they become two. Experiencer is there. What did I say just now? When Turiya is understood, then it is with you forever. You don't have to repeat it every time. It's not as if you're trying to do it again and again. It's done and finished. Any state it is there. Well, you'll feel more blissful. You get more of the bliss of Turiya when everything is silent and you're sitting. You need not even close your eyes. Till then, one has to work towards it. And what is the work? To clear the chitta of all the vrittis. That's all. We cannot do anything beyond that. And this is where all sadhana comes into the picture. Now, a person like a true Bhakta, for instance, devotee, not practicing Kriya, nothing, also comes upon the state of Turiya, because there is no kalanga in his mind, no, in her or his mind. Everything is settled. There is only one darshan of the Lord, nothing else. May not have practiced Kriya. And the jnani, who, having repeatedly removed all the other constructions from his mind, by saying, nay, not this, not this, not this, also comes to that state. But while the bhakti part is a gifted project, while the jnana part is a hard-working process, well, Kriya is somewhere in between. When I say Kriya, I mean any sadhana which involves cleaning the mind of its vrittis. That's what I mean, not just this Kriya. Now, even a true devotee, a Bhakta, clears his mind of everything else except the Lord. And if he is born with that strength, then he goes towards it directly. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a 12th, I'm going to give you Kriya, don't worry. Is he trying to escape? In the Bhagavad Gita, the chapter on devotion, Bhakti Yoga, comes as the 12th chapter. 12th chapter. So very often people, if Bhakti was so important to the Lord, why did he wait till the 12th chapter to tell poor Arjuna? Because Arjuna was not ready for it. So you must look at the previous chapters. The 11th chapter is Vishwarupa Darshana. The 10th chapter is Mahima. 9th chapter, normal. Which means till the 9th chapter, Krishna and Arjuna are on very friendly terms. They're like good friends, relatives, like almost same age group. Krishna is talking to him, and Arjuna is listening. Sometimes Arjuna butts in, how can this be possible? And he says, okay. Then sometimes Arjuna is desperate, he says, I don't think I can do all this. So Krishna peps him up. What does he do? He calls him Mahabaho, oh mighty armed one. Peps him up. This is up to the 9th. Everything is straightforward. The 10th chapter, Krishna changes his record a little bit. The old LP is removed, a new one is put. Suddenly he begins to say, among the Munis I am Kapila, among the mountains I am Meru, among the Achalas I am the Himachala, among the Vedas I am Samaveda, and so on. And Arjuna is wondering what happened. Till now, he suspects that this man is special, there's something, but this was too much. What is he talking about? We were just discussing matters and suddenly I am Meru. He's sitting here. Beginning of breaking down Arjuna's so-called logical blueprint, the rational blueprint, slowly breaking. Then comes the next chapter, Vishwarupa, and Arjuna is astounded. What is this sitting before me? I cannot understand. The whole world is going in and out. Who is this? Now his so-called rational blueprint is totally destroyed. He begins to understand that there are more things on this earth that are other than ordinary so-called logical things. What is this happening before me? Then comes Bhakti Yoga. By the time Bhakti Yoga is taught, Krishna has come back to normal. And please note, this is only in the Bhagavad Gita does Krishna assume the role of a guru. Everywhere else is different. He is fighting battles, he is cavorting with the gopis. But in the Gita, he is a guru. Shri Paramatmane Namaha. This is how we start. So, in the 12th chapter, it's one of the few chapters which starts with Arjuna Uvacha. It's usually Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. And so it's meant for all of us. We are all Arjunas. Arjuna asked the question. Some say that the truth is the Supreme Brahman, which is almost intangible, which is beyond the senses, which is abstract. So say the rishis. Some say, also some rishis, that Supreme Brahman can also be worshipped like you, sitting before me in this beautiful form. Who should I trust? Which should I? If you say it is okay, I'll agree. Especially after I have seen what I saw just now. So then, you would also have noticed throughout in Mahabharata, in Bhagavad, Krishna never does anything directly. Because his logic is different from other people's logic. He knows what he's doing. He does things differently. So he doesn't answer him directly. He says, look, Arjuna, it is true the Supreme Being is the formless Parabrahman and so on. So have the rishis said. The rishis have worshipped it that way. But we human beings are so name and form oriented. Nama Roopa. If I know your name, then your form comes to my mind. If I know your form, your name comes to my mind. So this world is a Nama Roopa world. Name and form world. So Krishna says to Arjuna, suddenly to lift your mind, which lives with Nama Roopa, into something which is without all this is not so easy. So it's a good idea to start here. Which is true, because we are all form-oriented. Don't tell me I am not. Everybody is. We are even so possessed with our own forms and names. You try that to somebody, call somebody by the wrong name and you will see the reaction. No, I'm not that. And form, early morning when we wake up and go to brush our teeth, what do? Look at the mirror. Right? How many more grey hairs have come? What has to be plucked, what has to be not, and so on. We are all form-oriented, name-oriented. Therefore, it's not so easy to lift to that. Ultimate aim is that the Bhagavad keeps on saying, even though it talks about Krishna's adventures, Every now and then it stops and chants the Purusha Sukta and says the ultimate aim of life is to realize the Supreme Brahman in your hearts. So, therefore, for most of us, we need a lead to get there. Oh, I forgot. And then Krishna says to Arjuna, no matter what the approach is, through name, form, through practice, through whatever, prana, or formless, there are three qualities that are essential before I can say a person is a great yogi. Or before I can say that the person is dear to me. Here, me meaning the Supreme. Yaha Bhakta same priya. That Bhakta is very dear to me. Who? Who has three qualities? One, samniyam indriya gramam. One who has control over his sense organs. Does not let the sense organs run away with the mind, but rather keeps the mind, uses the mind to keep it under control. One who has control over his indriyas. Then, sarvatra samabuddhaya, and can be tranquil under all circumstances, good or bad. Tranquility of mind under all, not just tranquility for half an hour when you are meditating. Tranquility under all circumstances. Sarvatra samabuddhaya. And the last, sarva bhuta hidayarata, one who has the welfare of all living beings in his or her heart. These three qualities are there. I consider that Bhakta to be dearest to me. So Bhakti need not mean just singing, chanting, which is all great, nice, enjoyable. But the hop, step and jump should also be accompanied by these qualities of mind. So, therefore, to clear the mind which is cluttered with these, to clear the mind which is not calm and quiet and tranquil, and therefore is disturbed, in conflict, and so on, is always distracted. We need to do something, unless you are a natural bhakta or a great jnani. We need to have some mechanism by which this can happen first. If this happens first, you will discover for yourself what kind of a person you are. You might go into the Vedantic stream, or you may go into the devotional, or you might remain with the yogic stream. These are three approaches. And that is sadhana. How to keep the mind clear so that when the seed is sown, the soil is okay, it's not disturbed, and it grows into a beautiful plant. I mean, this is the whole thing that we do also with Kriya. So yesterday I told you how the prana moves around erratically inside our system through hundreds of nadis, and how the practice of Kriya is to bring it together into one position, particular position, the prana. And therefore pranayama is part of Kriya. When this happens, the mind becomes free of all vrittis after some time. But you must make sure that you intend to clear the mind of all vritti. You don't think you're doing it like an entertainment, but that you're doing it. But then, under all circumstances, sarvatra samabuddhaya will remain. And the energies that are in us, including the divine energies, will be activated. Now there is one stream of thought, like the pure Vedantins who say that we can reach this through analysis and intellect. No, The greatest commentator on Advaita, maybe in rare cases, greatest commentator on Advaita Vedanta, Adi Shankara, was also the person who wrote the Saundari Lahiri. So there is no overlapping, or there is no this against that. Many approaches to the same goal. But since you are here for Kriya Yoga, that is exactly what we do. Which doesn't mean that you should not do some mantra japa afterwards and meditate, and which is very important actually. You have to meditate at the end. I want to make this very clear to you that however much Kriya you do, Kriya is a technique. Don't mistake it for the goal. And what is the goal? Tranquility of mind and quietness. So you must in the end meditate quietly with doing nothing for as long a period as you can. There is no limit to that. You don't do Kriya for more than, let's say, half an hour or 40 minutes. But after that, the meditation has no limit. You can sit as long as you want. Now, 10 more minutes we have. When I come back in the evening, we are going to start the Kriya. I think this is enough, no? Introduction. Otherwise, I'll go on the Kriya. We have one more day tomorrow only. Day after tomorrow, there is nothing, only meditation. So, we will start with the Kriya, the different steps to Kriya. And for those who already have been initiated into Kriya, this will be a nice review for you. And if you are not forgotten, you will remember again. So we have 10 minutes. Relevant to the topic which we are into, if you have some questions, we can work on it. Maybe 2-3 questions. What shall we do? Where is the microphone? Suppose you imagine that you are witnessing deep sleep. Suppose. You don't know. Suppose. Turiya is like that. That's what I meant. When Turiya, you can't even say Turiya is experienced. Turiya is. When it is, see, let me put it this way. I see you all. Why do I see you all? Because I have eyes. I have eyes, so I see you all. That I see you all is the proof of the existence of my eye, this eye. I cannot see my own eye. Yeah, I can see in a mirror, that's only a reflection. I cannot see my own eye. But I can't say the eye does not exist, because without that I won't see the world. It is somewhat like that, the Turiya. You cannot see itself. You can't say it's experienced or it's seeing deep sleep. None of these definitions will apply. It can only be, when it is reached, and you cannot give any explanations for it. But then, as I said earlier, once it is touched, it will remain forever in all states of consciousness, even in waking state. There may be a remembrance, faint remembrance, and you may say, that was nice, why did you wake me up? Yes. They will probably go through this in their life and get what experience. So we cannot do much except keep them happy and look after them. And when you look after them, you should understand that you have been given a great gift, that you are looking after something very valuable. And through that, your karmas are becoming better. And since the child is providing this opportunity to you, the child is blessed. But you cannot physically do much except whatever they are doing normally for that. And when the child physically lets go of the body afterwards, need not be then that soul doesn't have this affliction. It's only the body, because the brain cannot coordinate basically. Once it leaves, it's in perfect coordination. Perhaps there is a reason why it has come this way. And the reason that it is born in somebody's family is that you need to look after that. You are improving also yourself by doing that. I only said that Kriya cannot be practiced. Blessings, that's all.
Thank you.
And see, get the best medical help possible. Therapies are fine. There are many therapies going on, but Kriya is not part of the therapy. This is exactly what I mean. Also, they cannot do it also. It's not possible. It depends on the emotions and what you did, but in general, I can only say this, that if you decide firmly, you can do some pujas and all for your satisfaction. That's a different matter. But if you decide that I have committed a mistake, I will not commit this in future, and to whoever I have committed this mistake, I send good thoughts and ask for forgiveness. If this strongly reverberates in your mind every day, then it will take care of it. More than any rituals. In fact, if you are doing Kriya, at the end of Kriya, when you are meditating, please set some good thoughts and ask for forgiveness. Say that happened, I don't know, but I will not. But then make sure to tell yourself, I will not repeat it again. That will help a great deal. It is the greatest prayaschitta. There is nothing better than that. We have 3 minutes. Many hands. Yoga Nidra, no. Yoga Nidra is not deep sleep. Yoga Nidra, you're kind of conscious. Yoga Nidra is very similar to auto-hypnosis. You have to look at yourself carefully to see what is the thing that is a major problem which is causing it. You have to figure it out yourself. I cannot point it out to you. And then nip it in the bud. Find out what is the major problem that is preventing me from moving towards my goal. Not material goal, spiritual goal. You have to think carefully and sort it out. And then if you sort it out and say, I think this is what the problem is, then we can discuss. This is why swadhyaya. You have to understand yourself. And you will come to know it not in isolation, but while you are living in this world. Because the state of mind is understood only depending on how it reacts with the outside world.
Any example, Gurudev?
Give it deep thought and you will figure it out for yourself. Give it deep thought. Thank you very much. So, we meet in the afternoon. Have a good lunch and come back. After lunch, how many hours do we have before the satsang? Oh, no problem. So eat well. Kriya, it's not good to have a week, but you have plenty of time. The general principle is, if you had a full meal, leave at least 2 hours before Kriya. That's all. After the meal, before the meal, you can, just 10 minutes is enough. Right. Okay. Thank you very much.